years. He details his life in the book Gladiator, a true story of roids, rage, and redemption, which was released on Tuesday. A lot of R words there. Joining us to talk about it is the author himself, Dan Clark. He knows triceps like I know trannies. Hey, Dan, one of my favorite things about Gladiators, aside from the knee pads, were the nicknames. Now, how did you come up with Nitro? What was Nitro from?
Well, at the original auditions, that we didn't know what American Gladiators was. We only knew what the characters were.
Yeah.
And they said, we want to have a character that is loud, that is tenacious. And they gave me examples. They said, like, you like raw meat. They said, your favorite movie is Terminator.
Yeah.
And this was all very serious back then. And I said, well, if I'm loud and I'm explosive, let's call me Nitro. That's
good.
how Nitro was born.
If I were a gladiator, what do you think my name would have been?
Oh, too much to handle, or too hot for TV.
Oh, that's nice. I was thinking more along the lines of gropey. Okay. But yeah, you're
like Cuddles. Cuddles would be good.
Now, your relationship with steroids has been described as an addiction. Can you really become addicted to it? Because it's non-narcotic. Are you more addicted to the effects that come from using them as opposed to the feelings you get? That make sense?
For me, it was an extreme addiction. It was something that was bad for me. It was something that I still continued to do. It was something that I needed and wanted to do.
Yeah.
The withdrawal symptoms from steroids after a long cycle are very similar to the withdrawal symptoms from any drug.
Yeah.
You're lethargic. You don't feel good. Your sex drive is just out the window. So yeah, they are both physically and very, very psychologically addicting.
What? How much were you taking at peak usage?
Oh, it started 20 years ago, and it went for like 22 years,
Wow.
and there were so many different types of steroids and so many different stacks and cycles. I tried this A-Rod stack a few times, this Primobolt and testosterone. And, I have to say, that is the perfect stack for a baseball player, and it shows you that A-Rod is smarter than Canseco or Bonds or McGuire, because he knew exactly what to take to stay nice and cut and trim and not look bloated, but still get great results.
That's actually a great point I didn't consider, because I was going to ask you how can you tell if a professional athlete is juicing just by looking at him? And that was the thing about A-Rod, is you couldn't tell, but yeah. Could you tell? No,
I couldn't tell. You can kind of suspect, and I didn't think A-Rod was, but again, when you look at Bonds, you can say, oh, okay, hat size,
yeah,
extra hat size, his body, you think, okay, juicer. With A-Rod, no, you didn't think he was, and that's why he's a baseball genius.
Yeah. Now, do you believe that he stopped juicing in 2003? Do you think he stopped?
I haven't thought about it a lot, but now you put the question to me. It's interesting to me that the only years you juiced are the years you get caught.
Yeah.
That's hard for me to believe. So I would say no.
Now, a lot of people obviously...
Let me say this
Sure.
to you, Greg. I would also say, this whole deal, and I'm not on the A-Rod, hate A-Rod train, but this whole deal about, I didn't know what I took.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I took steroids for 20 years, and each and every time I took a shot, I knew exactly what I was taking.
Yeah.
Now, his business is baseball. His business is his body. His swing, his speed, his height, everything has been examined under a microscope. So all of a sudden you're going to tell me you don't know what you're taking?
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, when you were at the Rams, what was the percentage of users there? Was it a lot more than people think?
Oh, God, I don't want to come off as a phony. I did play professional football. I was only there for a brief time, like 8 games. During that time, it was a different culture. It was 1987. Steroids weren't illegal. And, you talked about them like you would, protein or protein bars. It just wasn't that, big of a secret. It wasn't thought of as something that was bad.
What about, now you were among women in gladiators and probably in gyms, that women who took steroids. Did you ever date women who were on steroids, and what was that like?
Oh, boy. There's a chapter in the book, and it kind of chronicles that. And, one of the side effects for women who are on steroids, they can grow a big, woohoo. I don't know how else to say that on TV.
I think that's the best way to say it.
The best way in the history of Red
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The woohoo. Oh, so, I remember, and it's actually kind of sad, because here I was, this broken guy, where sometimes it was, you know, hard for me to be a man and to rise to the call of duty. And I remember this girl, she was so inquisitive about, you know, like, you took steroids, you did this, I want to know about it. And at first, you know, I thought she was like a reporter.
Yeah.
You know, I said, what the heck is your interest? But as the story and her went on, I realized eventually when we got down to performing that, that sacred act, that she had her own effects.
Wow.
And I also heard this about steroids in women. I've heard that, and I've heard that, I'm trying to figure the right words. I've heard that testosterone with the women, a woman told me when she took testosterone, that was the first time in her life she actually knew what it felt like to be a man.
Wow.
As far as having a complete physical, insatiable sex drive.
Wow. All right, man. On that note, we've got to go. But, Dan, I want to spend more time with you, so please come back when you want. And the book is called Gladiator, a true story of roids, rage, and redemption. It's a great